Betrayal. A small word, but one that carries a devastating impact. It is an invisible knife that cuts deep, leaving scars that are not always visible, but can be felt in every thought, in every heartbeat. Betrayal is not just about the act itself. It is about the breaking of trust, the destruction of something that was meant to be unbreakable. The moment you discover betrayal, it feels as though the ground disappears beneath your feet. The person you thought you knew, the one you loved, reveals themselves as someone who not only hurt you, but also broke something inside you. It is a pain that cannot be ignored, that does not fade with time. It demands to be confronted. Yet despite its weight, betrayal also brings something unexpected: clarity. It is a cruel but powerful lens that forces you to see reality as it truly is. It makes you recognize truths you might have ignored. It shows you the worth of your trust and how it was wasted. Above all, betrayal transforms you, not because you wanted it to, but because you had to. It compels you to rise, to rebuild the parts of yourself that were shattered. Because in the end, you realize that betrayal does not define you. What defines you is how you choose to rise and move forward. Every betrayal begins with a choice. For the betrayer, it may seem like a fleeting moment, a lapse, or even a way to escape something they cannot face. But this choice carries a weight that sooner or later will fall upon them, because betrayal is not merely an act. It is a decision that reveals a great deal about the one who commits it. While the betrayed feels the immediate pain, the betrayer often lives in a state of denial. They convince themselves that what they did can be justified, that the fault isn't entirely theirs. But betrayal is a mirror. It reflects their insecurities, their flaws, their inability to value what they had. What makes betrayal even more complex is that for the one who commits it, it doesn't end with the act. The choice that seemed simple at first becomes a burden. They begin to realize that what they did didn't just affect the other person, it affected themselves. Each lie told, each excuse made, becomes a chain that binds them. They live trying to manage the consequences, pretending they can escape the fallout. But betrayal is like a poisonous seed. It grows silently until its roots begin to choke everything around it. No matter how much they try to move on, betrayal follows them like a shadow, constantly reminding them of what they've done. And for the betrayed, betrayal is also a choice, not the act itself, but how to deal with it. It's about choosing not to carry the weight of what someone else did to you, choosing to free yourself from the pain, even when it tries to hold you down. Because in the end, what matters is not what was done to you, but what you do with what happened. Betrayal hurts in a way that words cannot describe. It is an invisible wound, deep and raw, that doesn't bleed outwardly, but leaves scars on the soul. The pain isn't just about the act itself. It's about the breaking of trust, something so difficult to build and so easily destroyed. And what makes it worse? The realization that the person who hurt you was someone you trusted, someone you loved. You start to question everything, every memory, every moment, every promise made. Was it real? Did they ever truly care? These questions echo in your mind, trapping you in a cycle of doubt and self-criticism. Somewhere deep inside, a cruel thought emerges. Maybe I did something wrong, something that justified the betrayal. But this is a lie, a cruel narrative that pain tries to impose on you. The truth is, betrayal is never the fault of the one who was betrayed. It is a choice made by someone who lacked the courage to face their own conflicts, their own fears, honestly. They chose a path that hurt you not because you deserved it, but because they didn't know how to be better. And then comes the isolation. Even when surrounded by people, betrayal makes you feel alone. It's as if no one could understand the depth of what you're going through. You withdraw, trying to protect what little remains of yourself. But in this process, you begin to realize something important. Despite the pain, you are still here, and that in itself is an act of resistance. The pain of betrayal is real, it is valid, and it should not be minimized. But it is not the end. It is the beginning of a journey to find your strength, your clarity, and above all, the certainty that self-love is the most powerful antidote for any wound. For the one who betrays, the story doesn't end the moment the act is committed. At first, it may seem as though they've gotten away with it, as though they escaped unscathed. But betrayal is like a shadow that cannot be avoided. It follows them, growing silently, until the weight of their choices becomes unbearable. At first, they distract themselves, perhaps with new experiences, with the idea that they did what was best for themselves. But distraction is temporary, and truth is patient. It waits, silently, until they are alone with their thoughts. That's when regret begins to manifest, subtle at first, like an uncomfortable question. What if I had done things differently? Over time, that question grows. They start to see the impact of their actions, not only on the other person, but also on themselves. Because betrayal doesn't just destroy the trust of the one betrayed, it corrodes the betrayer from within. Every lie told, every excuse made, is another brick in an emotional prison they built for themselves. And the most devastating part, betrayal reveals something many betrayers avoid confronting: their inability to value what they had until it was too late. They live trying to justify their actions, but deep down, they know the truth. They know that the choice they made condemned them to live with the consequences. And while the betrayed finds strength and rebuilds their life, the betrayer remains trapped in a cycle of regret and emptiness. Because betrayal can be committed in a moment, but its consequences last forever. When betrayal happens, the betrayed is faced with a crucial choice: to remain trapped in the pain, or to use the experience as fuel for growth. It is not an easy choice. The pain of betrayal is overwhelming, but at some point, a spark emerges, a small but powerful desire to move forward. This desire begins slowly, like a seed finding fertile ground amid the devastation. At first, it feels impossible. You wonder if you will ever trust again, if you will ever see the world without the weight of what happened. But day by day, you discover that the pain you thought was unbearable begins to transform. You learn that betrayal does not define who you are. It is not a reflection of your worth, but a demonstration of the flaws of the one who chose to hurt you. And when you realize this, something shifts inside you. You stop carrying the weight of what they did and start building something new, something no one can take away from you. This journey of overcoming is marked by small victories. The moment you smile again, genuinely. The first time you feel peace in your own company. The strength to look back at the past, not with bitterness, but with the certainty that you are stronger than any pain you have endured. And as you rebuild, something beautiful happens. You realize that betrayal was not the end. It was the beginning of a new phase, a phase where you no longer accept less than you deserve, where you recognize your own worth, and above all, a phase where love begins within you. While the betrayed finds strength in overcoming, the betrayer follows a very different path. They are trapped in a labyrinth, an endless cycle of regret and emptiness. What seemed like freedom in the moment of betrayal now feels like a prison of their own making. They try to move forward, but the past haunts them. Every new connection is compared to what they lost. Every moment of solitude is filled with the echo of what could have been. And the worst part? They know it's their fault. That the choice they made not only hurt the other person, but also destroyed something within themselves. Over time, regret becomes a constant weight. They begin to see the impact of their actions in every aspect of their lives. The lies they told make them distrustful. The lack of value they gave to what they had prevents them from finding something similar. And the emptiness they try to fill never disappears. Meanwhile, the betrayed flourishes. They rebuild their life, find joy, and become a stronger version of themselves. And for the betrayer, this vision is the ultimate punishment, because they realize that what they lost wasn't just a person, but an opportunity to be better. And that is a wound that never fully heals.